All right, old school NBA fans, self-research, NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I want to send a special thanks to Derek7759. Derek, thank you very much for the super thanks. I really appreciate it. It was very kind of you. Thanks for all your support and all the contributions to this channel. Thank you very much. In this video here, I was going to do something different, but kind of inspired by Scap Attack. I saw his video. I know everybody's talking about the Channing Frye thing about, the nostalgia and whatever. Okay, yeah, I get that. The guy's an idiot. He's a teammate of LeBron's. What do you expect? It's just basically what we would all expect. Of course, when I was a kid and even, a young man in the 90s, there was nostalgia. There was plenty of people that, back in my day and whatever in the 60s and the 70s, but they didn't think the current NBA was garbage. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody did the exact same thing every time you watched a game. It was the same. Players missing games, all the problems that the NBA has today. That just wasn't the case. The 80s, the 90s, they all had their own flavor. Everything about those decades was why it was the golden era. Even the 70s with the two leagues, just even the 2000s was still, pretty quality basketball. It was worth watching. I watched as many games as I could in the 2000s, even into the early 2010s, and then it just got bad. But anyway, Scap Attack had said in the video that Kobe Bryant had more points than any player over a 3-year period. And, I looked into it a little bit, and Kobe played 67 games in those 3-year period. So that kind of gives him a huge advantage over other players. Obviously, he didn't mention points per game. That context got left out because, we all know who that would be. And and the other one that, I don't want to say it bothered me, but it just triggered something. He said that Kobe played and beat more 50-win teams than anybody else. And I'm thinking, okay, that's probably true. But what about 60-win teams? I noticed he didn't push that one. Why not? Well, we're going to find out why not. And again, I'm not a Kobe hater, not a Kobe lover. I'm just an admirer of his career. He was a great player. Some people overrate him, some people underrate him. He's kind of one of those players like that. Sometimes he gets overrated, sometimes he gets underrated, whatever. I find myself at times defending Kobe, and then at other times telling people, dude, relax, okay? Kobe is not 1B, all right? Just stop with that. He's great, and he deserves recognition as a great player. And after I did extensive research on this subject, and part of the reason why I ranked Kobe so high was the competition. He played the toughest competition of all the players that I ranked. So I took that into consideration. But when it comes to 60-win teams, playing 60-win teams, most of the greats don't have a very good record against them. They just don't. And of course, as usual, there's one guy who really stands above the crowd, and that's what I'm getting into. So, Nikola Jokic has never actually played a 60-win team. He played the 2020 Lakers, who were the equivalent of a 60-win team, on pace to be a 60-win team, but they were not a 60-win team. So, Nikola Jokic in his career so far has a record of 0-1 against 60-win teams or the equivalent of. Individual game record, 1-4. So obviously he hasn't had as many opportunities yet. Maybe more will materialize. I'm willing to, just be a little patient with it, sure. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's never played a 60-win team or the equivalent of. Never. Now he's been a 60-win team, but he's never played one. So again, I'll be patient. Maybe he will play some. And when it comes to playing 60-win teams, you're not always going to have a stacked team. Practically every superstar, except for like Magic, Bird, Duncan, you're going to have lulls in your career to where your team isn't super stacked, and you might have to play a 60-win team when you're like below 50 wins, even worse in some cases. So it sort of evens out, like you play these teams when you're not at your best, you're probably going to get beat, almost certainly. But then when you're, a 60-win team, that's when you got to cash in on beating the 60-win teams right there. So it kind of evens out. You want to be at least right around 500. So Elgin Baylor, he only played 2 60-win teams, and that was the 1962 Celtics, 1970 Knicks, 0-2, 4-8 in individual games. Okay, whatever. David Robinson played 3 of them. The 93 Suns, the 98 Jazz, got beat by those 2, and then beat the 2003 Dallas Mavericks. He's 1-2, has a 7-10 individual game record. As you can see, that's a theme. Most of these people have a losing record. Bob Pettit, he only played 1, and that was the 1960 Boston Celtics. He lost in 7 games, so a 3-4 record. Okay, whatever. Back then, it was hard to get multiple 60-win teams in the NBA because there's only 8 teams. Later in the 60s, you started to see that a little more, multiple 60-win teams, because there's just not enough wins to go around. Unless there's like one, you'd have to have at least one horrible team, if not 2, that you could just feast on and get those wins. Otherwise, it was very difficult. Boston, they won 60 games a few times, but they never had that extraordinary record. Like people seem to think they did, like, oh, they were loaded, all these Hall of Famers. They didn't win 65 games, never happened. Not in the 60s or 50s or the 60s. They did not win at that kind of a clip. And a lot of game 7s and, 6 and 7 game series and so on. Okay. Now here's one that's kind of an anomaly. Kevin Durant. He's 4-2 against 60-win teams with a 19-14 individual game record. However, I got an asterisk by it. And the reason why, straight up, Durant's Thunder beat the 2012 San Antonio Spurs. They were 50-16. They were on pace to win 62.2 games. That's what the math comes to. 2014, they got beat by San Antonio. 2016, they beat San Antonio, who was actually a 67-win team. 2016 Golden State, they lost. They were 73-9. And then they beat the 2017 Spurs and the 2018 Rockets. That's where the asterisks come in. Because in both those series, technically speaking, Golden State was losing those series when inside the series there was a major injury that changed the entire complexion of that series. San Antonio, it was only game 1. But, I've talked about this before. Kawhi Leonard and the Spurs were up by over 20 points in the third quarter. It looked like they were definitely going to win at least that game. Then he got hurt. They got swept out. Same thing with Houston. Houston was up 3-2 until Chris Paul got hurt. Then they lost the last 2 games. Again, changed the complexion of the series. Technically speaking, Kevin Durant is 4-2 against 60-win teams. However, there is an asterisk by there because he didn't beat them at full capacity. And even though the Spurs had Tony Parker out for the whole playoffs, that was before the series. That does make a difference. Getting hurt in the series, it just changes things. And they got a huge break 2 years in a row. Who knows? 2018, it looked like they were going to lose that series. 2017, we'll never know for sure, but it's definitely possible. Kevin Garnett is 1-2. He lost to the 1998 Seattle Supersonics in 5 games in a best of 5. He lost to the 99 Spurs, who were 37-13, on pace to win 60.7 games. They lost in 4 to that team. But he did beat Cleveland in 2010, who was a 61-21 team. So all things considered, Kevin Garnett, being in Minnesota, much like Kevin Love was, kind of by himself, actually not bad. The individual game record of 7-8, pretty good actually. Karl Malone is 1-6. He lost to The 1988 Lakers, Showtime, the last championship for Showtime. 91 Trailblazers, 96 Seattle, the 97 Bulls, the 98 Bulls. They did beat the 98 Lakers. They swept them. That was the one win. And then the 02 Sacramento, they lost in 4 in the first round. 1-6, 16-23. Actually a somewhat respectable individual game record, but 1-6, that's how it was. Now George Mikan's 2-0, but one of those series was a best of 3. And in each case, the one team was 45-15, on pace to win 61.5. The other team, Syracuse, in 1950, 51-13, on pace to win 65.3 games. But it was, it was on pace to, not exactly the same thing, but I put it in here anyway. Oscar Robertson was 0-3. And again, like I said, when you have a bad team, you're going to get beat by the 60-win teams, no doubt about it. No different here. Oscar lost to the 64 Boston Celtics, the 67 76ers, one of the best teams ever, and then the 72 Lakers, one of the best teams ever. So, that's pretty tough sledding for Oscar. 64 Celtics, the 67 76ers, and the 72 Lakers. So, that was definitely tough sledding for him. Steph Curry, another guy you got to put an asterisk by, because the only two 60-win teams that Steph Curry and the Warriors ever beat were the ones I was just talking about, the 2017 Spurs and the 2018 Rockets. That's it, just those two. Moses Malone was 0-4. He lost one in the ABA to Denver in 1975, 1980 Boston, 1981 Boston, and 1985 Boston. Now they did sweep the Lakers in 83, but they were only a 58-win team, I believe it was. Jerry West, 1-4, 10-18 individual game record. He had the same problem. He ran into Boston in 62, 65. Lost to the Knicks in 70. Lost to the Milwaukee Bucks in 71. That's one of the best teams ever. And then beat the 72 Milwaukee Bucks. 1-4, 10-18 individual game record. What do you expect? Like I said, almost every one of these guys has a losing record with the exception of Durant and Curry. And they got an asterisk by that one because they benefited big time from injuries on that one. Dr. J was 2-3. He beat the 1980 Celtics, lost to the 1980 Lakers, lost to the 81 Celtics, beat the 82 Celtics, lost to the 85 Celtics. So 2-3, 13-16. It's okay, not bad. LeBron James, 3-5 against 60-win teams. He lost to Detroit in 06. He lost to Boston in 08. Beat Chicago in 2011. Lost to San Antonio in 2014. Beat Atlanta in 2015. Lost to Golden State in 2015. Beat Golden State in 2016 and lost to Golden State in 2017. And, he does have a pretty good individual game record of 23-24. That actually is pretty good considering. But, again, here's a guy who's played 54 series, but he's only played 8 against 60-win teams, and he only beat 3 of those 8. So that's 1 out of every 18 series that he played, he beat a 60-win team. That's not a lot. And we can get into the quality. At the end of the video, I'm going to get into the quality of 60-win teams because they are definitely not all created equal. All right, Shaquille O'Neal, same thing as LeBron, 3-5, 15-26 individual game record. Of course, he got swept by Houston in 95. He got swept by the Bulls in 96. He lost in 5 to Utah in 97. Got swept by Utah in 98. Got swept by San Antonio in 99. 02, beat 02 Sacramento, controversial series. 03, lost to San Antonio. 06, beat Dallas when he was on Miami. So 3-5 for Shaq, 15-26 individual game record. Meh. Tim Duncan, you think he'd have a better record against 60-win teams. He's 500, 3-3. A lot of these guys, it's shocking to see what they did against 60-win teams. Now, yeah, I agree. Some 60-win teams are definitely better than others. Even a 60-win team in a different era could be better than one in another one. Tim Duncan, 3-3, lost to 98 Utah, beat 2003 Dallas, beat 2005 Phoenix, lost to 06 Dallas, beat 07 Phoenix, and that one kind of have an asterisk too because the suspension to Stoudemire and Diaw. And then in 2013, Miami got beat. So 3-3 for Duncan, 19-17 individual game record, which I think that's about one of the only maybe 3 or 4 people. That's it on this list. Akeem Olajuwon, 3-5. Impressive considering who his teammates were. The same as Shaq and the same as LeBron. 3-5 for Olajuwon. Had nowhere near the teammates that Shaq and LeBron had. But here's who Olajuwon had to play. The 86 Lakers beat them in 5. 86 Celtics, one of the 2 or 3 best teams of all time, bar none. They got beat in 6. The 1990 Lakers, they lost in 4, 3-1. 95 Utah, they beat them in 3-2 in a best of 5. 95 San Antonio, beat them 4-2. 96 Seattle, that's the only sweep in Akeem's career. 96 against Seattle. 97 against Utah and 98 against Utah. There you go. That's some pretty damn good teams. And Akeem has a pretty good individual game record of 18-23. Pretty good, considering what he had in his career. All right, Wilt Chamberlain, only 2-6. Of course, he lost to Boston in 1960, 62, 64, 65, and beat them in 67, and then lost to the Knicks in 1970, and then lost to Milwaukee in 71 and 72. 2-6, 18-27, not great. Larry Bird, another one, not great. 1-3. Larry Bird beat one 60-win team his whole career, and he only played 4. Granted, they were really good 60-win teams, but 1-3 nonetheless. They beat Philly lost to Philly in 1980, beat Philly in 81, lost to the Lakers in 85 and 87. That's the 4 teams right there. And 9-15 in the individual games. Kareem, 1-4 against 60-win teams. Here's another one. Kareem beat one 60-win team. 85 Boston. That's it. 1. Lost to the Lakers in 72, 76ers in 83, Boston in 84, and Detroit in 89. Actually got swept in 2 of those series. 1-4, what can you say? 9-18 individual game record. That means he's winning 1 out of every 3 games against 60-win teams. That's not great. Kobe Bryant. This is what I was talking about. Kobe is 2-6 against 60-win teams. Now, for him, I went a step farther and said 1-4 as a starter. So if you want to say, well, 97, 98 when they lost to the Jazz, well, Kobe was coming off the bench. You know, it's not really fair to include him in there. Okay, either way you want to do it. Kobe lost to the 90, like Shaq, the 97 and 98 Utah. They beat the 98 Sonics, lost to the 99 Spurs, beat the 02 Sacramento, lost to 2003 San Antonio, 07 Phoenix, and 08 Boston, for a 2-6 record. If you want to go as a starter, he was 1-4. So if that makes you feel any better, actually 1-4 is worse than 2-6. An individual game record of 14-28. He wins 1 out of every 3 games, just like Kareem did. It's hard to beat 60-win teams. Magic Johnson, 2-4. Almost the same thing as Kareem. 83 Philly, 84 Boston got beat 85 Boston, lost to 89 Detroit, even though Magic missed basically half that series. Beat 91 Portland, and then lost to the Bulls in 91. There you go, 2-4 with a 12-20 individual game record, which again is not great. Bill Russell only ever played 2 60-win teams. Philly in 67 and 68. Lost in 67, won in 68. for an individual game record of 5-7. That's how hard it is to beat these teams. 1-1, 5-7 individual game record. Now we get to the guy that dwarfs everybody else, Michael Jordan. Jordan's first experience against a 60-win team was against the 1986 Boston Celtics. So obviously he lost. The next one was the 89 Pistons, which I would say is probably the best team, of the last probably from 88 to 90, those 3-year period. The 89 Pistons were the best team in that 3-year period, no doubt about it. And then that's when they went on a run of beating 7 60-win teams in a row. 93 Knicks, 93 Suns, 96 Magic, 96 Sonics, 97 Heat, and the 97 and 98 Jazz for a 7-2 record against 60-win teams, dwarfing everyone else by far. Just another thing you can say about Michael Jordan. When it comes to 60-win teams, he's the king. The king, no doubt about it. He played 9. Who even played 9 60-win teams? Let's take a look. Let's see. 8, 8. No, nobody. Jordan played the most and beat the most. What can you say? Now, here's where we're going to get the pushback from the LeBron crowd, okay? They're going to say, oh, the 90s was watered down, they had inflated records, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to do something right here. I want you guys in the comments to tell me. I picked out 6 teams from different decades of 60-win teams. You guys tell me who you think was the best, who you think was the worst. So you could rank them for me. That'd be great. But tell me what you think. Be honest. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Don't try to tell me what I want to hear. Be honest. Who do you think was the best 60-win team on this list? The very first one, the 1975 Washington Bullets. They were 60-22. They had Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes. They had 2 top 75 players. They were definitely a good team, but they got beat. They got upset. Golden State was a 47-win team and took them down. All right. How about, I think that's right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Anyway, 1981, Milwaukee Bucks. They were 60-22 also. Right in the 80s. Everybody says how great it was. Top heavy, whatever. They had like Sidney Moncrief and Marquez Johnson and Bob Lanier. I mean, they had, a good team, definitely. They were 60-22. There's the other team. Okay. How about for the 90s, I chose to use the 1996 Orlando Magic. They were also 60-22. So by the logic of these people, they're saying Orlando would have been like a 56-win team or a 57-win team, or whatever. So I just want you guys to be honest with me. I think the 96 Orlando was a damn good team. That was the team I picked. They were 17-4 to start the season without Shaq. Penny led that team to a 17-4 start. You can look that up. I have no problem you fact checking that. And I think down the stretch, they were something like 38-9 coming into the series against the Bulls. This team was really good. And I know Horace Grant did get hurt in game 1 towards the end. The Bulls were winning. They were going to win that game at least. But anyway, they were a damn good team, the 96 Magic. How about 2003 Dallas Mavericks, 60-22. Now, I'm pretty sure that was the last year that Steve Nash was on Dallas before he went to Phoenix. So you got 2 top 75 players on that team. There you go. How good was 03 Dallas? You tell me. I thought they were a good team, but, how about the 2015 Atlanta Hawks? They had 4 All-Stars. 4 All-Stars. They won 60 games, Atlanta. The same record as all these other teams. The 2020 Milwaukee Bucks. Now, they were 56-17. Actually, the equivalent of winning about 63 games. Okay? What team do you think... And, you can research, do whatever you want. That's fine. Out of these teams, I pulled out of They're, pretty much 50 years apart between all these teams. 75 Washington Bullets, the 1981 Milwaukee Bucks, the 96 Orlando Magic, the 03 Dallas Mavericks, the 2015 Hawks. All 5 of these teams were exactly 60 and 22. And then the last one, because there really hasn't been a lot of 60-win teams in the 2020s, the only ones were like the Phoenix Suns won 64 games, the Boston Celtics won 64 games. So which one of these teams? None of them were champions. That's the other reason why I picked them. None of these teams won the championship, but they all had, these teams had the same record. You can use 2020 Milwaukee, no problem. Any one of those 6 teams, tell me, who do you think is the best team and who do you think is the weakest team? Dying to know. So anyway, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. And until next time.